Alright, so here is another fan fiction idea, and this one was voted on over on Patreon. Once again, if you'd like to be part of Patreon, the polls at least, if you just want to do that, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, hit the first tier. That'll allow you access to do all the stuff on the first tier, as well as like movie reviews. I swear I will get some out. We're now getting closer to like movies I want to watch. But yeah. Anyway, so this one I'm kind of glad won, and it won convincingly by like over 50% of the vote. And that is, as you can see, codename Kids Next Door Prank the Justice League, which totally wasn't in spite of a very mean-spirited and very awful video game from a once proud and powerful video game series that championed the characters that they played, you know, that they used in their IP. Totally not. No. I'm not like that. I'm not spiteful. Anyway, so yes. This is a Kids Next Door Justice League crossover, so can't wait to see what you guys are going to think of this one. I was actually very close, and I might actually still do this. I might do this again, but Kids Next Door Prank the Super Friends. The Justice Friends, excuse me. Like, have it instead of the Justice League, it's the, like, Major Glory and Kronk and Van Halen and stuff like that. I thought that'd be kind of cool. Maybe I'll revisit that idea. But for right now, it's the Justice League. Anyway, so the story begins with codename Kids Next Door getting an all-planetary alert. Basically, Number 1 gets a message from Number 86 saying, "We are under attack on all fronts by adults." And they're like, "Well, who could launch such a global attack?" And it turns out 86 says, "It's the Justice League." And they're like, "What?" So they're showing screens at, like, Number 1 orders to show every screen, and across the world, the Justice League is tearing down clubhouses and, you know, rounding up kids and sending them to their parents to be grounded. And they're like, yeah, and Superman basically says for too long the Justice League has overlooked this oversight of letting children pretend to be superheroes in such a dangerous world. From now on, the Kids Next Door is over. This so-called codename Kids Next Door is over. And they're like, and everyone's like, "Oh man, that sucks. The Justice League are bad guys." And Number 1's just like, "What did you expect? They're all adults. You shouldn't even like them." Like, he's chastising the rest of the team for, like, "Yeah, but they're like superheroes, Number 1. They save people. And look what they're doing now." You never trust an adult, no matter who they are, if they're wearing costumes or not. So they're like, and then Number 4 points out, "Hey guys, if they're attacking every clubhouse, you know, every treehouse, when do they?" And then a red streak comes flying in and starts, like, you know, snatching them up. And he's like, it's the Flash. So, yeah, in here, this version of the Justice League is Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, Barry Allen Flash, Cyborg, and Martian Manhunter. That's our Justice League. Instead of just 5 characters, we have the traditional 7. So, the Justice League is like, the Flash is rounding everyone. It's like, "You kids are in so much trouble," you know. And they're like, and Number 3's like, "But Flash, why are you doing this? You know, you're a good guy, and we're trying to save the world like you." And he's like, "Yeah, but we do it better, kid." And that's like a tell for, like, Number 5, who's like, "There's no way the Flash would talk to a kid like that. He's way, you know, there's something wrong here." And that's, and then she's like, "You know, don't talk to Number 3 like that." He's like, "Number 3, please, kid, you probably, like, tell me your real name." And she's like, "No." And he's like, "Tell it." And that's when this big red streak comes flying in and grabs Flash, and it's Shazam. It turns out that Shazam has been battling, you know, the Justice League. He was the 8th member of this incarnation of the Justice League. And while the other 7 something's happened to them, he's been running around trying to stop them. So Shazam and Flash get into a fight, and Flash has to flee, and that's when, you know, Shazam goes back to the other kids, and he, like, unties them. He's like, "Hey, I'm sorry, kids. I'm, like, hey, you guys okay? I'm sorry about Flash." And they're like, "Don't touch us. You know, You know, you're no better than them. And he's like, no, you don't understand. The Justice League got attacked by an unknown, by some kind of unknown source, and it just like something took over their minds. I managed to get away, but the rest of the league, something happened to the rest of the league, and they're like, this unknown source, what was it? It's like, I don't know, but the guy who did it, like, had a really mean voice and he yelled a lot. And number one goes, did he have fire? And he goes, yeah. And they're like, Father, damn it. So Father is the one who's mind controlling the Justice League, and he's like, darn it, I was hoping to get all of the Justice League members, but I can just serve with a few. With you guys as my personal police force, the codename Kids Next Door is over. And that's when another voice goes, you're welcome, by the way. This couldn't have been done without my help. And, Father looks over and it's Clarion. So Clarion used a spell with the Father's technology. The two mixed it together to mind control the Justice League. Although, and he's like, it would have worked better if we got all 8 members. But, no. Billy managed to get away at the last second before the mind control process was complete. So Billy has to team up with Kids Next Door in order to save them and save the League. But number one is just like, why should we save these people? You're just adults who are going to turn on us anyway. And he's like, that's not true. We may not have known about you guys, but we would have let you kept going. Have you heard of the Teen Titans? And they're like, teenagers, you'll let them get away with anything. And that's when Billy goes, okay, Shazam! Turns back into Billy Bats and reveals that he's like a kid like them, and he wants to help them. He believes he can, he was given this power, and he believes the Justice League would, that when the Justice League found out that he was a kid, they let him stay on because they knew that he had all this power and great responsibility, that whole Spider-Man thing. In fact, if this was a story, like, Billy would go on about, like, power and responsibility, and number 5 would go, that sounds really familiar. But the team goes to one-on-one fight the Justice League with what gear they have, and Billy's just like, that's what you're using to fight the League, and they're like, yeah, what's the problem? Nothing. Go team. So the first one they encounter is once again the Flash, and what happens during the fight is that number 2 accidentally trips the Flash, and he goes careening into like a thing of like Jello, like a truck of Jello, because this is cartoons, and it starts making him laugh, and he's like it basically breaks him out of the spell, and they're like, that's how we do it, we make them laugh, so we have to prank the Justice League. So that's what they do. They go around making the League members laugh, like Hal. They basically throw a lemon pie at him because lemons are yellow. So they throw a lemon pie in his face. With Wonder Woman, they basically tell a joke in number 3 tells a joke in Greek, and it makes her laugh. And they're like, "You know how to speak Greek? Yeah, you guys never asked." And they're like, "Okay, shit." So that's they're like, "Okay, number 3 knows how to speak in Greek." Cyborg, they basically send him a meme through the computer. Martian Manhunter, they basically give him Oreos that are they basically give him Oreos that have little hot sauce in it. So he that is funny. So Superman, for Superman, they have they basically for what they do for him is number 5 tells him a really funny joke about Kansas, makes him laugh, and now it's down to Batman, and they're like, there's no way we can get Batman to laugh. And sure enough, yeah. In fact, when they go back to the clubhouse, Batman's already waiting for them, fights them, and actually disables all their weapons. And it isn't until number 2 basically goes, "Hey Batman, why is your underwear outside of your pants?" And he's looks down and he's like, I never thought about it that way. So all the team members are broken free, And what happens is they pretend to be mind-controlled to go back to the League Tower to show Father and Clarion. And what happens is they're like, now shoot him out of an airlock. And they're like, yeah, about that. And they're like, oh, you're not under control anymore. Nope. And that's when they just get their ass kicked. After Clarion and Father are defeated, the Justice League do point out, like, they basically talk about, like, yeah, the kids next door have, like, they've managed to hide under our noses for all this time, a bunch of kids. And Batman, like, points out that, like, you know, children shouldn't be soldiers. And that's when Billy goes, says the guy who endangers children's lives every night. He says when he has Robin. But, yeah, so it comes to a vote, and the kids next door are allowed to operate, but with League supervision. And they're like, no, we don't want to have adult supervision. And they're like, excuse me. And they're basically like, not so much supervision, it'd be more like suggestions and guidance. And Billy will be our and Shazam will be our liaison to you guys, like our in-between, since he can be both an adult and a kid. So there you go, guys. That is pretty much Justice League prank. Kids Next Door pranked the Justice League. So you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of it? And yeah, once again, I'd like to thank everyone for voting on this one. And other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.